They're in draw phase, standby. Standby has been passed. We're into main phase. Normal summon out Snake Eye Ash. A very, very standard start. One of those powerful starts.
It's the start everyone could hope for, but Infinite Impermanence is a great card to have at the beginning of the duel too.
You know, that is well met, but we're going to see if there's going to be a follow-up here, and that's going to be Bonfire. Bonfire this time around, likely going to go for, well, not Snake Eye Ash. It's going to be Poplar. The effect of Poplar is going to be good. That's going to be summoned out onto the field.
So certainly had the Infinite Permanence, but likely not to have the Droll and Lockbird, or else it probably would be used now. But let's see, we're going to go ahead and grab the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye there, and just sort of proceed into Snake Eye Town.
I will activate.
We're activating the Divine Temple, and that's going to place one of your Snake Eye cards into the Spell and Trap Zone.
So already some information hasn't been telegraphed by Anthony, right? Dino does not know, at least at this point, that there are any Kashtira monsters. Likely not to find out, maybe even till game 2 at this rate.
Yeah, Kashtira monsters are going to have a pretty tough time being summoned onto the field once you start establishing monsters on the field. So they're not likely going to be seen unless the board gets cleared.
That's true. We've seen some crazy things so far, but Snake Eye Bellstar hitting the Spell and Trap Zone there. Looks like we're probably using the effect of Snake Eye Ash here, but again, Snake Eye Bellstar has really pushed this deck over the edge, right? It gives it just a little bit more consistency in a very powerful package.
So we're now performing a Link 2 summon into Moon of the Closed Heaven. Seems like we're trying to bridge into our Fiedsmith package. That is going to be a Link 1 into Fiedsmith Requiem. Requiem, anything here? No, there is nothing. But besides, that is also a quick effect, so that could be a little bait and switch play. Did I can I trade one additional card for free? Nope. We're gonna get our Fiedsmith Engraver summoned from the deck. So you can summon a Fiedsmith monster from the deck.
So it is time for Fiedsmith Engraver to go ahead and do what it does best, but it looks like we're just taking a quick look through the graveyard before we get going. Again, we saw how powerful the Fiedsmith cards were yesterday, and Fiedsmith Engraver really is the monster of the hour here, enabling just so many cool combos that are really interesting. Every duelist has been applying the same pool of cards very differently, and this time we're seeing Fiedsmith Engraver go to the graveyard for Bellstar the Black Witch.
So one of the trends of playing Fiedsmith cards right now is interweaving your play, jumping in and out of the Fiedsmith play, because you can quite easily summon out the Link monsters, and the Link monsters generate additional monsters. So if you do get hit by a disruption, you can pivot into generating more monsters through the Fiedsmith that way. Rather than playing the entire package all at once and burning out your resources, that's currently the trend that we've been seeing.
I think that's what's so interesting about this format is it's not really linear, right? We do talk all the time about combo lines, but at any point you can just say, you know what? I think I'm going to exit here and take a completely different direction with my deck, even though you don't have to do anything different with the deck building. You can just, as a player, recognize that maybe there's a different way to sort of get your opponent to bait out certain cards that can be interacted from the hand. But so far, it looks like other than that Infinite Permanence, nothing's going.
That's right. So with the Engraver in the graveyard, likely that Engraver can summon itself out in case there is, a little big disruption coming down. I say little big, but you guys can kind of assume what I'm thinking about. And now we're going to perform a Link summon into IP Masquerena with the monsters at hand. And that Poplar is going to put the Snake Eyes Bellstar into the Spawn Trap Zone, and that's going to activate now to summon itself out onto the field by placing a fire monster into the Spawn Trap Zone. That's going to be Poplar and put back to the back.
Again, shows you how powerful that Snake Eyes Bellstar is, just giving body after body onto the field, but looks like we're going into a Link summon here of Celine.
And we're going to use the effect to summon back a Spellcaster monster. I mean, we've got options here.
I will summon back Snake Eye Bellstar.
We're going to summon back Snake Eye Bellstar.
I think that's the third time that card has hit the field.
Yep.
Good stuff. But it's being used as a Link material. Looks like a 2 material Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess.
All right, that's going to insulate against monster-based disruption.
So all of a sudden, the little big primal being that might have been coming down may not be as impactful after all, if there was one to begin with. But it does seem like we're seeing the Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon.
That was from the Oak effect, and Flamberge Dragon is now going to place the IP Masquerena into the Spell and Trap Zone. Now, we can definitely get rid of that Flamberge Dragon if necessary by putting back our Fiedsmith Requiem, and that's going to summon back one of our monsters here, and that's going to be Fiedsmith Engraver.
So I think it's time for another Link summon here. We're about to see quite a few monsters hit the board at one time.
Gonna go Link 2, and that's gonna be Fiedsmith's Sequence.
Sure. Activate flame.
Sequence has a fusion effect, of course.
Summoning
But
back
before we
this.
fuse, it's time for Snake Eye Oak
This.
and Snake Eye Ash to return via Snake Eyes Flamberge.
Mm-hmm.
Fully announcing.
Kind of an all-you-can-eat buffet of cards here. It's hard to choose where you're going next. Again, that is what's so interesting about this is every single decision is important. You don't know that you're winning the duel because you put these cards out. You won't find out until later, but these decisions matter so much more than ever before.
So now we're performing the fusion summon using 2 Light Fiend Monster. Through the effect of Sequence, we're putting those back into the decks, and that's going to summon out Fiedsmith's Lacrima. Lacrima can summon him back or add to hand a a Light Fiend Monster. Now, the thing is, management of your Light Fiend Monster is very important because, as you can see, we did not get any additional resources back because we put back the Fiedsmith. There's nothing to add back, and therefore we're just going to use the materials at hand to make our Promethean Princess. You know, it's not a fire-related card. I mean, there was a very important fire-related play previously, check out in the VOD, but this is of course going to set up a fire lock, and we're going to be able to bring back, of course, the Flamberge Dragon.
Oh, you were hinting at the power of Fiedsmith Desiree. There's some cool stuff we might be able to see, but focusing on the duel at hand, looks like we're just going to link off that Promethean Princess and Ash into a Salamandrate. Oh, and hey, that went fast too.
That's going into Zelantis. That's a 1 material link monster. There's only very few that can do that as a high link rating. This is going to protect the Appaloosa in the battle phase for the most part, and this is also, of course, getting rid of the fire lock of the Promethean Princess.
We've seen a lot of duelists really try to put out Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess and protect it in a number of different ways. Yesterday we got to see Nightmare Phoenix as well with its co-linked effect to prevent linked monsters from being destroyed by battle. So there's a lot of cool ways that you can protect this card and still get out those smaller chunks of negates. But play passes over to Dino, so it's time to see some Mimighouls.
Yeah, stand by.
Now, will the Mimighouls land with the Appaloosa on the field? That's going to be the question at hand. There's a lot of options, and this particular field is very strong. Graveyard Disruption from Promethean Princess. You got 2 negates from the Appaloosa, and we're going to start off our play with Special Summon of Kashtira Fenrir.
Ooh, interesting. Now,
That's a
funny
great
enough,
one.
finally got to see our Kashtira. This is going to do what is functionally similar to what the Fiedsmith cards are so great at. It's going to push the conversation forward, and any resources that Anthony has may have to be used to answer all those Kashtira cards. However, what he doesn't know is that those Mimighouls are, sort of rubbing their hands together, about to pass those treasure chests across the table.
Now, by leaving the IP Masquerena in that spell and trap zone, it does make things a little bit more difficult in terms of trying to get the additional, I want to chain on top of your card to get a better outcome in these chain links. Leaving it in the back, it could come up later. Maybe you do want it in the back. Maybe you want to protect your monster, but don't forget, Kashtira Fenrir can hit any face-up card on the field.
Well, nothing has been activated just yet, so we're still just going through our pot of prosperity there, getting rid of 6 cards here and those really cool World Championship Qualifier sleeves. Again, everybody who entered into the event should have a copy of those, so good stuff. It looks like we're going to go ahead and reveal. Oh, wow, now the Mimighoul information is out there.
Wow.
And it looks like we're getting a whole deck profile here with one of each card. Again, we've got our Mimighoul room, our Mimighoul dungeon, we've got our Mimighoul master, as well as Drone Lockbird and a Dimension Shifter.
That's a quarter-century Dimension Shifter if I've seen one. Well, unfortunately, that's not likely a card to be added because you have cards in the graveyard already.
A little too late, unfortunately.
And we are going for the Mimighoul Dragon. Now, Mimighoul Dragon has multiple effects. You can summon it on your side of the field and gain an additional card, a Spell and Trap Mimighoul card, or you can give it to your opponent and it can, well, pseudo-Raigeki your opponent.
Some really cool stuff there. Again, each Mimighoul having so many different neat effects that really help advance the strategy, but even if one of those effects resolve, it can spell doom for your opponent, but oh no, we are seeing the terraforming there.
So with the Kashtira Fenrir keeping pressure on the field, basically that can trade with the Appaloosa. It gets a little bit dangerous here. Now we get the Mimighoul Dungeon added to hand. Mimighoul Dungeon, allows your Mimighoul monsters that were not normal or special summon this turn to gain attack equal to their original defense. So that helps you gain attack for those cards.
And the numbers are huge too, by the way. 1,900 defense, 2,000 defense, great stuff.
But one of the key effects would be to adding Mimighoul monsters to your hand. once per turn.
Good stuff, good stuff. It's a really well-designed deck, and so it's nice to see duelists playing it so
activate
early
Fender.
into a tournament that really matters. Think about this.
I'll go
Dino
with the
woke up and he decided, I'm choosing Mimighoul.
Okay,
And
so
on resolution,
the effect
I'll
of
go
Kashtira
number
Fenrir has been negated by
Sure.
the effect veiler. That's going to basically protect the monsters or cards on Anthony's side from being hit
To take.
by the banish effect. But now we're going to be met with a triple tactics, talent,
Chaining.
and we're going to attempt to take, but now that's going to be chained.
Ooh, so we are going to do the IP Masquerena. That could make
IP
things a little
Masquerena.
complicated here.
That's fine.
Let's see if we see something really cool here, and we're getting rid of our own Appaloosa. Well, I mean, leaving that up could be very dangerous because when the opponent takes the negation, now they have the negation against you. So we're going to get rid of that card, and instead, which is the monster that's going to be summoned out? And that is going to be Moon of the Closed Heaven.
I'll just take.
Interesting to leave your spots open there. The extra monster zone did not have to be clogged because there was a link zone from World Sea Dragons Atlantis. So just really making sure that there were no bad
will
decisions
take-
here, leaving every option open.
Now, which
Zelantis.
monster will you take?
Sure.
We're going to be taking
It's all
Zelantis.
yours.
Zelantis at least will kind of
on
clear off all the
resolution,
relevant
Fenrir,
effects
target
on the field
Fenrir.
right here.
On the resolution, we're going to use the effect of Fenrir to target the
And then let's activate Mimighoul Dungeon.
Fenrir. Sorry, the target is the Flammers, but don't forget that was negated, of course. And now we're going to go Mimighoul Dungeon. Mimighoul Dungeon is now live.
Activate Dungeon to
Now, the
search.
danger of Dungeon is really
Dungeon to search.
putting a face-down card,
Double
a
resolve.
set monster on the opposing side of the field. If you have that up, now it's going to function much like a floodgate, where there's like a lot of restrictions. You can't normal summon while you control that set monster, and any monster that's special summoned that turn cannot declare an
Search
attack.
for Mimighoul
Kind of
monster.
reminds me of the Mystic Mind days, where
read
you
it?
cannot attack and just can't summon. It's a lot of restriction.
I could hear the audible groan of every duelist remembering the difficulty of challenging Mystic Mind. And hey, maybe Mimighoul Dungeon will bring that back. And taking a quick look here, the cards across the table. Again, Mimighoul Master is really the master of the Mimighouls, right? Being able to control those flip effects being activated and when, and
Going
always being able to
to
search. This is going to be an
Normal
interesting
summon
duel. It
Mimighoul
is
Dragon.
only just warming
Activate
up.
effect. Search a
Oh,
Mimighoul spell
normal summon
trap.
up Mimighoul
On
Dragon.
turn.
That's going to add a spell or trap card that is Mimighoul named.
We'll
And it should be a
search,
whopping
Mimighoul
2,500 attack
Okay.
this turn due to the field spell.
Yes. Thank you.
So grabbing Mimighoul Maker here.
Mimighoul Maker. That's going to be able to
Into your
summon
graveyard
one
while
to
you
your
read.
opponent's side and add one to your own hand, and you get
Would you
to
like to
potentially summon out a
summon
Mimighoul
Sure.
monster onto your side of the field as well. That's actually a really smart way to summon out the Master, because the Master does not actually have a special summon condition. And most of the special summon condition coming from the Mimighoul monsters, they summon to your opponent's side of the field face down, which is kind of neat because it blocks cards like Evenly Matches, it blocks cards like Infinite Impermanence from the hand. It really slows down those types of disruptions.
No, it's more than just vibes.
on
It's always fun to, give a treasure chest to your opponent and be like, hee hee, I hope they open it. But at the same time, it has such valuable tournament play there because, again, Infinite Impermanence has been such a powerful card for the format. It doesn't trigger off things like Triple Tactics Talent. But, hey, if you control a card, unfortunately, you are not eligible to activate that from your hand on the first turn. Taking just a moment here to decide what we're going to do next. Dino
Here, 1 sec.
certainly trying to figure out what to do.
There's a little bit of danger,
I'll
for
leave
sure,
these, but
because
we'll
there
go for one.
is still a copy of Promethean Princess in the graveyard,
I'm
so
going to
there's not like a blank field that you're
activate
looking
Mimighoul
at.
Maker.
So we're going to activate the
Okay.
Mimighoul Maker. Which monsters are you going to choose? Because that's going to be 2, and 1 random one will go to your opponent. But they have to be flip monsters,
We'll do Dragon
so it's going to be
and
Dragon
Archfiend.
and Archfiend.
If you want to roll for it, we'll do evens, odds. Gotcha.
So again, just a little clarification here. Again, the
Summon
field
to
spell
your
does
side of the
not
field,
buff the
face down
attack the
defense.
turn that they are normal or special summoned. So just getting used to our Mimighoul stuff here. Again, just some incredible cards here.
I will roll for it.
Sure.
So
Evens, odds. Cool.
odds.
They are getting the Mimighoul Dragon set
Right
face
there.
down onto the
Cool
other
by me.
side.
And then I can
And that's our first
special
pass.
summon a monster from my hand.
And that
Gotcha.
is likely
I'm
going to
going
be
to
a
be
Mimighoul
able to-
monster. That's
I
going to be
guess this
special
is
summon for the
second
rest
part
of the
this.
Oh, yeah,
effect
yeah,
of
fully
Mimighoul Maker.
So I'm going to summon Mimighoul Archfiend.
We're going to summon Mimighoul
Gotcha.
Archfiend. That allows for a flip. On summon.
Mimighoul Archfiend.
Oh, this is very dangerous.
Gotcha.
Now, don't forget, we are under Pot of Prosperity. that is going to limit the amount of damage going through.
And this is not a 10-pie deck, so we're not going to see it pull out 16,000, but it's still capable of getting some stuff done, but I don't think the duel will end this turn.
This is crazy. Now, the moment those Mimighouls flip during the main phase, they have a lot of, well, negative effects to the controller of that card, and then the card switches control. So now it resolved, destroyed all face-up monsters except for Mimighoul, and then the control of that card will change back to the opponent. So they take all the negative effects, I keep the monster. What a wonderful trade.
Well, speaking of trades, looks like we're going to go ahead and start bringing out some monsters from the graveyard here.
It's kind of neat because that kind of also bypasses Promethean Princess. Promethean Princess has your monsters need to be summoned to your opponent's side of the field. Even if it is your own effect, like Zelantis triggering that particular part of the effect of Promethean Princess, but you summon to your opponent's side of the field, that's not going to trigger the Princess, and now you are able to essentially just destroy the entire field.
He will grab.
So we are getting a couple of fire monsters coming back from the graveyard from the Raging Phoenix. Of course, the Flamberge effect summoned back to, we have the Oak and the Ash, and they get their respective trigger effects as well.
Okay.
Taking just a moment to absorb the impact of the duel here, right? Picking up that Mimighoul dungeon. Again, brand new card, so you have to absorb it. It's one thing to read it, but it's another thing to make sure you really understand the nuance of this duel. And it is true, again, starting from yesterday, that's when the Infinite Forbidden became tournament legal, so there have not been a lot of tournaments actually with Mimighoul gameplay.
I want to see where this is going to kind of continue onward. Under the Pot of Prosperity, there's not going to be a lot of damage going through. I think it'd be a very big danger if the Promethean Princess somehow makes it back onto the field and does not get cleared before the turn passes back.
No, I did not, actually.
And Zelantis will get returned to the opposing side of the field if the effect does get activated. Remember, it goes back to the owner's summon control.
Yeah. Wait, no. I'm not supposed to add a card to hand.
And even our duelists are talking through. They're like, okay, wait, let me make sure that I'm doing this correctly.
These
okay,
are new cards.
Brand new cards again. This has been quite the experience for them. But it looks like we're actually going to perform an Xyz summon here.
These treasure chests have been flipped. The monsters have sprung out on the opponent.
Oh no, looks like we're linking. Being very careful to decide. Looks like it might be a 4 material.
It's 4 material.
Okay.
Oh, it's a 5 material.
5 material. Oh, wow.
Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. So this is going to be a very, very good monster, especially when it comes to answering the graveyard summon cards.
Yes.
If you guys do not know, Underworld Goddess of the Closed World will be able to negate anything that attempts to summon out of the graveyard. And that's a once per turn negation that's available. And on summon, it negates every single monster on the field on the opposing side because that's just what she does.
And we actually got to see it done its original way. Obviously, with Moon in the Closed Heaven, you can even borrow an additional monster from your opponent. But this is really going to change how this duel is proceeding again, because you mentioned one graveyard negate. That happens pretty often in this game.
Dragon declares an attack on... Okay, so Dragon declares an attack on the Oak, and then we are also going to attack over the Ash. 500 attack, that's going to be enough, I believe, to clear out the defense mode of Snake Eye Oak.
That'll get it done. All right, so we've kind of warmed up, I think, a little bit more to our Mimighoul cards. We got a full turn pretty much featuring everything except the trap card Mimighoul Room.
This was an incredible turn, because we did not fully expect the power of the Mimighoul, and we got the full board clear, and I wouldn't count Anthony out yet, because this is, of course, still a Fiedsmith Snake Eye deck, after all.
No, he definitely can be able to pull things back out, and hey, even maybe his Kashtira might help too, but now we're going to take one last look at the Mimighoul Master. Again, it is so neat to see how back and forth things have been, but it didn't close out the duel, right? We're seeing longer, grindier gameplay, and that's been very exciting, again, to see the impact of the Infinite Forbidden set here, especially with a brand new deck, showcasing that, hey, maybe Dino is going to go really far in the tournament, and he might go all the way.
So normal summon out Snake Eye Ash, and we're going to activate the effect. That's likely going to add Poplar into hand. Poplar has been added to hand. And we're going to chain. There can be only one, which is fantastic, because most of the Mimighoul monsters, they all have different typing. And it's kind of funny as well, because you can give your opponent an odd typing as well, or maybe something that they can't summon. You can give them a dragon. Now they can't summon out Flamberge Dragon. It can get a little bit annoying for sure.
There's definitely going to be a lot of things. Think about it. You could give them the Mimighoul Archfiend, and all of a sudden they are fiend locked, but in a very different way.
Yeah, they can't summon a Promethean Princess if you give them a Fiend.
Yeah,
oh, that is actually quite funny.
Stuff.
But now that they have there can be only one, the added copy of the Poplar cannot be summoned onto the field, as they are both Pyro with the Ash.
And with that Underworld Goddess staring it down, that graveyard is practically useless.
Snake Eye Ash. Link off.
Linking off Snake Eye Ash.
Sure.
Oh.
That is one way to do it. So Relinquished Anima will grab itself a new equip spell, and all of a sudden the graveyard is back up for grabs.
That is good. That is something that works, because Underworld Goddess is unaffected by anything that doesn't target, but luckily Relinquished Anima does target, and that is the out right there.
So here comes Bestial Druid's Worm next, taking a look at both graveyards. Looks like the light or dark we're going to have to banish is
Black Witch?
Dia Bellstar. Now, it's true, there can be only one is impacting this duel a lot more than you think. It'd be difficult to get out Dia Bellstar. She's also a spellcaster, so until that Relinquished Anima is gone, well, she's going to have to wait in line.
I can't attack with monsters that turn their special stuff. This reads that, right? I can double read right now.
Can Anthony declare an attack? That is the question at hand. Any monster who controls a face-down monster cannot normal summon nor declare attack with monsters that are special summoned this turn. I believe he can still attack because there are no set monsters at this moment.
No Mimighoul's waiting to surprise him, so he is free to do what he came here to do.
Not normal summoners, but not that part.
But there are no set monsters.
Cannot normal summon monsters nor declare an attack with monsters that were special summoned.
So since he does not control a face-down monster, the attack declaration lock is not in effect. But don't forget, that current Mimighoul Dragon has gained the attack now. This is not the turn that it was summoned, so gaining its defense, it's at 2,500 attack points.
That's a pretty beefy monster there.
But Underworld Goddess, I believe, is stronger.
It is, it is. I believe 3,000 attack there, so Relinquished Anima is going to come in hot here.
Let's go battle for now.
Oh.
Sure.
The
25 over 5.
2,500
Sure,
over.
2,500
They've declared the attack. They're both
cool.
going to be destroyed by battle. That might be a little bit of a misplay there, because that was an unnecessary trade.
I feel like you would have saved the Druid's Worm later, but maybe they wanted to be able to have access to something else, but it just seems a little strange.
I heard the players say that, oh, I didn't know.
Okay.
No, that definitely was probably a misstep on that part.
You forgot his field spell, special effect.
Yeah, boosting attack. That's why you got to read the cards.
Looks like we're just cycling here with the original Sinful Spoils, grabbing a copy of Ash and replacing a card to the bottom of the deck there.
I mean, we still have There Can Be Only One active right now. And maybe clearing out that card opens up the Flanberge summon, but it's going to be a very difficult time to get that Flanberge back onto the field without a copy of the Promethean Princess.
Absolutely correct there.
Careful when you shuffle.
Yeah, very careful. I don't think his opponent caught that, but you need to make sure. Nerves are a thing. Again, remember, this is one of the biggest tournaments.
You know, this is a feature table. There's always going to be pressure. You got thousands of eyes watching you right now.
Pass turn duel? Sure. Draw for turn.
All right,
drawing for turn. We got the turn to come back. Well, There Can Be Only One is very, very powerful.
Now, what's really interesting here is with that Snake Eye, Snake Eye, Divine Temple of the Snake Eye there, maybe we're going to get to see some interesting plays. Maybe we're going to get to see some comebacks here. But right now, everything is on Dino, just getting back into the Mimighoul, going ahead and using the effect there, taking a look at the graveyard, thinking about what it is we want to go for next.
In terms of graveyard effect, there is the Mimighoul Maker.
Add dragon.
Oh, but the dragons who we want to grab.
And we are adding back the dragon.
Perhaps maybe for the summon effect? Yes, looks like he's going to summon it and try to grab a spell or trap from the deck. Perhaps another Mimighoul Maker sounds right?
Yep. So what happened here is that during the main phase, you can add one Mimighoul monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So you don't actually need all that many copies. You can keep cycling the same ones if you want to, and that's what Dino is doing.
It could enable a lot of deck building creativity when you think that you could slim down your Mimighoul cards and mix it with another deck, but right now we're just seeing it relatively pure, except for the Kashtira cards. Going to go ahead and set a Mimighoul over there across the board.
So that dragon is out on the opposing side of the field. If it does get flipped face up, well, your opponent is going to lose the Relinquished Anima, and you're going to get a dragon back on your own field. Remember, you resolve all of these cards in sequence.
Dino taking a moment there, but going to go ahead and bring down the Mimighoul Archfiend.
Activate effective Archfiend target.
Archfiend target the set monster, which is
Chainlink 2, I'll go Divine Temple.
Chainlink 2 on Divine Temple.
We do have a monster in the Stall and Trap Zone.
Hold on, I'm not sure if that is allowed.
That's an equip spell,
That's an
right?
equip spell.
And the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye should only bring, well,
continuous spell cards.
yeah.
Card effect that don't target. And then should be put right here. Sure.
Taking a quick look at Divine Temple here. Yeah, it does have to be a monster treated on the field as a continuous spell. So it looks like we're having some intervention from the judges there again. Judges traveling here from all over the world to make sure it is a fair tournament.
Yes.
So they should be intervening now to make sure that that doesn't get special summoned there, because unfortunately it was an equipped spell.
Yeah, an equipped spell cannot be summoned back. The only monster that can do that is Enigmaster Packbit.
Oh yeah, Packbit, that is a great synchro monster.
Packbit can do it.
So again, we're going to have to place that
It was chain link 1 on summon target.
back over there.
Yes.
Mandatory chain link 1. I didn't. No, my opponent did not normal summon, so this does not get summoned. I see what
Judges to fix the game state. Oh, they got it. They got it.
Okay.
So looks like our Underworld goddess is back to the Underworld, unfortunately. Would have been a cool combo, but unfortunately it doesn't work with the Divine Temple there.
Yeah, got to be careful. Got to be careful. Got to read your cards carefully.
Sometimes multiples at once.
Thinking. Sure, that's all good.
But now we're back to smooth gameplay, so we're just trying to figure out what it is we need to do next.
3,000, I'm at 38.
Obviously cleared off a pretty big threat. I mean, clearing out the Relinquished Anima means that now it is open and we're no longer under that last turn's Pot of Prosperity damage thing. Dino does need to get into the game, though. I mean, good cards on board, but very low life points, and those do eventually matter because that is your win condition.
We are going to overlay for ones.
Interesting. Maybe a Sylvan Princess?
Nightingale. That's a
Nightingale.
wing beast, so that does fulfill the condition of not hitting there can be only one.
Attempt to leave main phase. By all means.
Attempting to leave main phase. That's going to be multiple direct attacks right
Battle
there.
phase. Yep. Attack.
Attack.
Yep. For 400.
400.
Attack again for 400.
For a total of 800 damage, that's 2 attacks for 1 per material.
It is good to see Nightingale. Nightingale also has that quick effect to make sure that it is protected. So this actually is pretty safe for this deck. You do have a lot of different options. Level 1 is a very sacred number, but more important than that, now we're seeing Downer Magician, and there comes Zeus.
So Zeus applies a lot of pressure, but if you do manage to use the Zeus effect, or force to use Zeus's effect, that's going to mean the removal of your own there can be only one. That could be restricting Anthony from, making big plays. Anthony, not exactly in the best of position, staring down the floodgate, but oh, there's the Kashtira Unicorn. The cat's out of the bag, per se, and I don't know if that's going to be as effective, as Mimighoul doesn't require their extra deck as much. It's not as tight.
You can see a brief smile on Dino's face. There's like, oh, there's Kashtira too. I didn't even know that until now, but play is proceeding, and you're right. The extra deck space on the Mimighouls would be really tight. Because think about it, Pot of Prosperity already, took 6 cards off of that list, down to 7, 8, 9 with those extra deck things. So that Kashtira Unicorn is basically taking whatever the change is left.
Check the graveyard, gotta find the interaction. In terms of interaction now, we still have the Promethean Princess, but there's nothing really allowing the princess to come out. Game state awareness now. Especially when you get all these restrictions being placed onto the field. But there's no set monster, so the dungeon's not active, and now they're gonna link to into Hita, a spellcaster.
Poplar effect.
Poplar effect, that's going to place. What would you actually place here?
I would assume Snake Eyes Bellstar.
But that's a spellcaster. Can't be pushed onto the field while there can be only one is live.
True, but it would at least give you something to do later, and it seems like that's been the game plan. So effectively, if we link off or something happens to Hita, then you could eventually move that forward. It's got a little bit of an insurance policy.
Okay, we're going to read Snake Eyes Bellstar. I think the main thing you just need to really confirm here is just that it's also a spellcaster.
It is also a spellcaster.
And that's the most relevant thing at this moment.
The most important piece of text is just that little subtype there. Same thing on Hita there, spellcaster link effect.
3 in hand? 3 in hand, yes.
Let's see what's the next move that Anthony is going to attempt to push forward. This is a very long game 1.
Oh, it certainly is. Don't forget, this is game 1. This is best 2 out of 3, and we'll see what happens next. But for this current game, we're actually passing. I think that maybe that was getting locked into the fact that it had 2 spellcasters.
So note about, the graveyard of Mimighoul. Most Mimighoul monsters are Earth. We're going to need Asa instead.
Okay, well, it's time to go pick up some from the trade binder. But for now, looks like we are just seeing... Take a look at the graveyard.
We can add back tons of monsters here.
Add drag.
we're going to add Dragon back into hand. Dragon is the best one. It just clearly showcases Dragon is the best one, cleared the opponent's field, and helps me gain a more advantage.
Hey, Archfiend's no slouch either. He is the one that gets Dragon to easily activate, but it looks like now we're going to go ahead and see our Mimighoul Master. Master's
effect cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect if your opponent controls any face-down monster, or if you control a Mimighoul monster other than Mimighoul Master. So it's got its own built-in protection. If it does pass turn with the Mimighoul Dungeon, it goes up to 3,000 attack. No slouch in terms of attack points, but this card on summon lets you add a Mimighoul monster from your deck to your hand, except for the Master, and it also acts as the ability to flip up your opponent's monster during the opponent's turn.
Well, speaking of flipping, we just saw Zeus change positions and destroy Hida as a result of battle. We're just attacking now.
So that's a 1850 to the 3,000, and then another 18.
Certainly getting Dino back into the game. Again, it is important at some point. You can't just play tricks on your opponent with those Mimighouls. You are going to have to end this duel successfully. Looks like we're going to add Flamberge Dragon, though, off of the Hida effect.
Yep, and then
okay.
1800, and then 1800 direct.
An 1800 direct.
4250, right?
Looks like 4850 should be what Anthony is sitting on. Still has the lead in life.
Gotcha.
This is very surprising because I bet most people thought, oh, the Fiedsmith Snake Eye definitely has, like, is the favorite matchup. But we're seeing right here, Kashtira Mimighoul just wrecking the entire field, keeping the pace, on his own pace, rather than letting Anthony just play out his turn.
It's a reminder that, yeah, there are popular decks out there, but whatever deck you believe in, as long as you put the homework in and do a little bit of playtesting in the lab with your friends, you can isolate how your deck works well against these others. It looks like we're seeing Mimighoul Archfiend get set face down on the field.
Mimighoul Dragon, Mimighoul Archfiend, summoned to the opposing side of the field. That is going to restrict Kashtira-based monsters from being summoned out now.
And good looking out for setting 2 of those, because if you only set 1, there's the possibility that Dia Bellstar, the Black Witch, could have gotten in there and gotten one of those cards out of the way. But with 2 of them face down, so much insurance.
I mean, if we consider what are the options here, we have Archfiend. If that gets flipped over, well, send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard and then give control away, and your opponent also draws a card. So that's a 2-card trade. Or Dragon.
But they also send a card too, right?
Yeah, so it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. And then there's also the Dragon, which could just nuke the field. Get a little Raigeki action, a little Lightning Vortex action. So we are going to be using the effect of Snake Eyes Dia Bellstar. That's going to place the Poplar back, pushing itself back to the spell from the spell and trap zone to the monster.
Sure.
And that's going to be wanted. To speak of the Dia Bellstar, the Black Witch.
As seen on that beautiful wanted poster, but now it's time to kind of put the pedal to the metal if you're Anthony. It's true that you have higher life points, but you have got to do something about this Mimighoul loop. And honestly, it shows you how important spell and trap removal is, because that there could be only 1 has done so much to limit Anthony's ability to
this
play.
is not possible. This is not possible.
He caught it.
Let's go.
The restriction is live. You can't get rid of the monster because you summoned the monster first. You summoned out the other Dia Bellstar, and now you have a spellcaster.
Again, Snake Eyes Dia Bellstar, great, right? Having the power of Poplar clearly there in the background, but at the same time, still being a spellcaster itself, you are locked in. So it makes it so difficult. It shows you how strong it is in this deck.
Dungeon, of course, is now live. There are sec monsters on the field. That monster cannot declare an attack, and even if it could, well, first of all, you definitely don't want that attack to go through, because Snake Eyes Dia Bellstar pushes monsters to the spell and trap zone, and that could open up the play again. But in this particular case, you can't even declare the attack, which is fantastic.
Shows you how safe this is, and we really see that Mimighoul is well designed for a grind game, as we are so far into this round 1, but still in game 1.
All right. Let's go.
I mean, that's why you have to study up every matchup when it comes to these large tournaments. You never know. You just never know.
You can't just think, oh, I got to face the popular decks. Every duelist sitting across from you is just as well prepared and well qualified. So you got to be ready for anything at the NAWCQ.
Let's go.
I mean, this is difficult. We're going to special summon now. Now we can do this. Now we can do the summon of the Dia Bellstar, the Black Witch. We're going to get rid of the Mimighoul Archfiend.
Correct. Cool.
Anthony deciding what to do next here. Very careful on his plays, but here comes Snake Eye Ash. At least we've got one Pyro, one Spellcaster. Going to go ahead and use that to get rid of the Poplar and get back into the deck. Dino fine with that.
Anything here. Poplar Chainlink 1.
Poplar Chainlink 1. With Flamber Dragon on the field, that's going to, you know, do a lot of work being able to put stuff back into the back row.
And you are right, if that's Zeus, Dino thinking about activating, if he did, he would clear things right out of there can be only one. So all of a sudden, storming the field with multiple spellcasters, that's exactly what Anthony wants. It looks like he's going to use that to push Zeus to the back row.
This is a force. This is a forced activation of Zeus.
Cool. That's all good.
Here it comes. Remove 2 materials. It's Zeus time.
Maybe
The NAWCQ, you can't just worry about every single round. Just got to do it one duel at a time.
Sounds good to me, partner.
So let's see what we're starting off with on Dino's side here.
Special summoning Fenrir.
Oh, the same start, Kashtira Fenrir.
But it's different. Now Dino gets to go first. They got to pick up the pace, or else we're going to run into time very soon. And next, we're going to activate Pot of Prosperity. See, the danger here with both of these cards, both of them can potentially run into a Drone Lockbird, which is very popular in this weekend's tournament.
Drone Lockbird's certainly a great option considering how many of those popular decks that it does sort of slow down, right? We've seen how quickly Fiedsmith can add cards from the deck to the hand. Well, Drone Lockbird typically says no, but right now we're just figuring out what cards we're going to go ahead get rid of for Pot.
So when we get rid of 6 cards with Pot of Prosperity, do you hit it with Ash Blossom if you want to stop the first one? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
6 card is a lot. However, now that you activated the Ash Blossom, will it be met with Triple Tactics Talent, Triple Tactics Thrust? And when it comes to Thrust, you can put a monster onto the opposing side so you can add the card to hand instead.
Mimighoul Archfiend effect.
We're
Summon to your side of the field.
Activate Mimighoul Archfiend, summon to the opposing side of the field. This is going to turn off infinite impermanence because now you control a monster.
Anything on resolution.
Definitely helps.
That's the card that I was thinking. Like, maybe you can take some of these cards and just give it to your opponent. And I think it's the Archfiend that I would personally try out in a main deck randomly.
Well, speaking of random cards, it looks like we are going to be using the effects here. We might see that Mimighoul Archfiend flip up so we can have a card sent from the hand to the grave.
Likely we might have to wait a little bit since the Master can only do it during the opponent's turn.
Your opponent's main phase.
Hey, that may be the right time to do it, though. But it looks like we're going to go ahead and search through the deck here with our Mimighoul Master.
Let's, I'll search Dragon.
We're going to put Dragon. So knowing that Anthony is playing Kashtira, ooh, so there is a Drone Lockbird.
It's a popular choice for a reason there. Both duelists smiling like, yes, we know, Drone Lockbird, great option. You had to do it to it.
I do wonder why Anthony waited so long for it. We did have a Prosperity play into that earlier.
He might have wanted to have his opponent commit more cards to the board. If you use Droll and Lockbird at the earliest possible chance, it is true that you completely slow your opponent down. But you also don't get them comfortable into a situation where maybe their combo line really just gets stopped, but they've already committed some of their resources that you can disrupt. But that's for those duelists to decide. Maybe we'll hear from one of them at the end of this. But right now, we are just setting an additional Mimighoul Dragon to opposing side.
I just feel like the timing could have just prevented the additional cards from being added, because if it's one card to another, they are actually getting pluses, whereas if you just drilled them earlier, they don't actually get to establish a lot of these key cards that are being put onto the field. And with 2 set cards on the field, Anthony's Kashtira engine likely won't happen with the 2 extra monsters because you just are committed. Now they're going to go into the IP Masquerena. But just IP Masquerena, will that be enough? We're just going to set a card and pass turn?
Enter the draw phase.
Are we trying to force the set monsters to be flipped face up, and then you get the card back, and then now you can perform the Link Summon?
Well, my Millennium Eye is telling me that that has to be Mimighoul Room that was set, because that trap card and the confidence with it, that would be the only way to get out of it. You would flip up your cards, the Mimighoul's over there, they would come back to you, and you would have some materials there, but, well, I mean, Dino's smiling, so he seems confident, so he must have some kind of game plan.
Let's go Black Witch.
Black Witch sending away the Dragon, because the Dragon is the most problematic, the one that clears out all of your own face-up monsters except for Mimighoul monsters.
They want the original Simple Spoilers.
Looks like we're going to go ahead and set the original Sinful Spoils. We're back to a very familiar combo here, sending Diabellstar the Black Witch.
Yep. That's going to summon out Snake Eye Ash. And that is met with infinite impermanence.
I see.
This is interesting with a set monster, but there's still a normal summon available for Anthony.
Targeting Witch.
Bestial Magnum has been activated, targeting the Witch, special summoning itself onto the field.
Dino smiling to himself, maybe seeing the handwriting on the wall there. Perhaps maybe he was going to be lucky enough to flip those monsters and receive them back. But right now, the IP Masquerena going and being...
It's going to go into the graveyard. It's gonna met with battle, so we're going to take the 25 and the 800 from our Snake Eye Ash.
Mean piece 2.
Yeah, with nothing to synchro, I mean not synchro, nothing to link summon, the IP Masquerena was a bit of a sitting duck.
I feel like it was telegraphing a play that wasn't happening, right? Every now and again, a Yu-Gi-Oh player can bluff. It's not against the rules there to just set a card and feel good about yourself. But unfortunately, those cards were not good enough to keep him safe. And so we've already seen the IP Masquerena cleared off the board, and the infinite permanence not do much. And here comes the big combos.
So we're going into the Fiedsmith line now. Fiedsmith, we go from the Moon of the Closed Heaven into Fiedsmith's Requiem, Requiem into Fiedsmith's Engraver. And Fiedsmith Engraver alone won't really amount to much unless we want to go for Necro Equip Princess. We're going to set one. Maybe there's no follow-up here.
Both duelists kind of at a stalemate. We got to see everything their deck had to offer in Game 1, but in Game 2, it's just a very simplified game state here. Very few cards in the hand, very few cards on the field.
I mean, Dino's on top deck mode now. Heart of the cards is what he is relying on right now, especially when he's down on life points as well. And with only a minute 30 left, the pressure is on for this particular match. Definitely in favor of Anthony. His position is really strong right now. There's the Engraver already there. Just trying to minimize the amount of mistakes he can make by not committing too many cards. I don't think there's like solid one-card combos coming from the Mimighoul side. We're going to set one, and with no other cards, it's going to be pass turn back to Anthony.
Could certainly be difficult, and again, different than yesterday's tournament. That was single elimination and therefore had some additional turns when the clock reached 0. We aren't going to have additional turns as these are Swiss rounds, at least for now and a little bit tomorrow.
And with the original Sinful Spoil activated in the graveyard, that's going to fetch a copy of Snake Eye Ash, and that is not met with any disruption so far, and that's going to Snake Eye Ash into Poplar.
It is, yes, I apologize.
Poplar going to activate to summon. Do we have anything to restrict this? No, we do not.
That face down card might just be face down and nothing else.
And that's going to lead into Divine Temple of the Snake Eye. That's going to place the Snake Eye Diabell Star into the Spell and Trap Zone.
No effect.
Dino looking
Now,
concerned.
damage has already been done. We've established a little bit of damage, and this is enough damage right here with the attack boost coming from the field spell.
Cool. Yeah. I don't have.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't do what? 2,600 damage.
Yeah.
That's
2,600 damage? I think he
That would've done it,
miscalculated.
yeah.
He miscalculated the damage there. The
you
field
hadn't
spell
seen it.
boost